So the Kill Everyone challenge in Fallout New Vegas was actually a lot of fun, so this time I wanted to try something a bit more difficult, as well as a change of scenery. So this time I'm going to be playing Fallout 3, and I want to see, can you beat Fallout 3 with only the game's crafted weapons? Crafted weapons are weapons that, as the name implies, are built by random objects that you find out in the wasteland. What I expect to be hard about this is that you usually can't loot or buy these weapons. You can only buy the blueprints to make them, meaning that there will probably be a portion at the beginning where I'm just trying to make enough money to be able to get the blueprints, let alone find the materials. So with that said, the rules are as follows. I can only use crafted weapons. This includes the rocket launcher, railway rifle, Shishkebab, Nuka Grenade, Bottlecap Mine, dart gun, and the Deathclaw Gauntlet. If by some chance I am lucky enough to find one of these weapons pre-built, I am allowed to use it, as the challenge isn't to craft the weapons, just to use them. And with that, let's get started. As soon as I gain control, I assign my special stats. I don't really have any specific build in mind, as the weapons I'll be using cover all bases. After that, I go through the birthday party as usual, right up until I get the BB gun from Dad and he tells me to kill a rad roach. Okay, so I didn't expect to hit a wall this early in the run, so you can't progress to the next stage of the vault without killing the roach, and even if you try to talk your way out of it, nothing happens. So I'm effectively stuck here until I kill the roach. Or so you would think, but you see, being a Bethesda game means that Fallout 3 is pretty broken in some areas. So I go back in time to when I was a baby, from right before I picked my special stats, and then position this ball like so, and then as soon as my dad opens the door, I jump over, and then close the door from the outside, then immediately run for the exit. And if I do it quickly enough, the door will be closed, but it won't be locked, which lets me leave the room. Then at the end of the corridor, I can jump into this grey abyss, and then I'll be teleported to a version of the vault during the escape quest. That's right, now not only am I going to try and beat the game with only crafted weapons, I'm also going to do it as a baby. So I guess now I ask, can you beat Fallout 3 as only a baby and with crafted weapons? I begin making my way through the vault at breakneck baby speed. Something to note is that I can't use my Pip-Boy until I get to Megaton and talk to Lucas Sims, for some reason. So until then, I am completely defenseless. Luckily, the guards don't spawn when you do this, and the rad roaches don't really do any damage, so escaping the vault is more tedious than difficult. When I get to the exit, I reassign my special points to give me more endurance, because as a baby, I have very little health. This is also where I can select my tag skills, since I completely skipped past the GOAT exam. I take medicine, repair, and small guns. I level up outside and make sure to have 25 in explosives so I can disarm the bomb in Megaton to give me the house there. I also take the intense training perk to get an extra point in charisma so I can get the child at heart perk later. Once I crawl my way over to Megaton, I talk to Lucas Sims and shit. So another problem with this glitch is that even though I now have access to the Pip-Boy, I can't see the Pip-Boy, which is annoying, but I'll have to work my way around it. I spent a while trying to get accustomed to my Pip-Boy and managed to navigate my way to equip some armor, which was nice, and then I decided to disarm the bomb for the easy XP and the caps. As soon as I get my reward, I head for Crater Side Supply as Moira has the schematics to build our first weapon, the rocket launcher. I lack anywhere near enough caps to buy it, even after selling her everything I didn't need. I go to my new house and take everything that isn't nailed down in hopes of making more money, but I know it won't be enough, so I leave Megaton and begin looting some of the destroyed houses in Springvale, and actually find a decent amount of stuff. I also go to Silver's house and get the 300 caps off of her that she wants me to give the Moriarty, which I obviously won't do. When I head back to Moira, I have just enough to be able to afford the schematics and the parts necessary to build it. It takes me about 5 minutes to actually equip the thing, but at least I'm finally making real progress. For anyone who doesn't know, the rocket launcher uses any items labelled as junk as ammo, which means I'll never have to worry about caps for ammo, or ever run out of ammo for that matter. The biggest problem I have right now is my weapon's condition, as it's based off your repair skill when you craft it, and mine is not that high. Thankfully though, Moira can get it to around half, but I need caps first. So I head back to Silver to get the last 100 caps she has and to test the weapon out. It's not awful. I then went around and looted Silver's house for as much junk as I could. Oh, and she accused me of stealing from beyond the grave, which was neat. I returned to Moira and have her repair the rocket launcher, and it's at this point with all the running back and forward that the speed I was moving at was going to make this so much longer than I initially thought. For comparison's sake, I'm only moving slightly faster than if you were over encumbered in a normal playthrough. With that in mind, I decide I'm not even going to bother with the first half of the story, and so I just travel back to Vault 101 and head west from there to Smith Casey's garage. On my way there, I got slaughtered by a Mr. Gutsy because I couldn't find my stim packs and was far too slow to run away from him. On attempt number 2, I managed to avoid him. I noticed that when playing in third person, I appear to be running slightly faster for some reason. It could just be the different perspective making me think that, but regardless, from this point on, I spend most of the game in third person, when outside of combat. I took a slight detour to make sure I didn't walk straight into the camp with the Super Mutant Behemoth because that would be suicide. I also completely forgot that I could hotkey items and then was able to hotkey my weapon and my stim packs, making things a bit easier. I also got into a fight with some raiders, and due to my small size, I was able to use a dead mole rat as a shield to block some of the damage. And with that, I finally arrived at the garage. Some of the game's textures weren't loading in right, but I'm not sure if that's because of me being a baby, or just Fallout being Fallout. Once inside, I dealt with the mole rats, and then restocked my ammo with the items in the garage. I struggled to reach things on somewhat tall shelves. I make my way down to the vault, put on my suit, and enter the simulation. Nice to know, even in the simulated world, I am still the size of a footstool. I don't have access to my weapons here, so I just let the Chinese take care of it for me, and then I finally meet up with my dad, and we head for Rivet City separately, as I'd never be able to keep up with him at this rate, even if I wanted to. It took me quite a while to get to Rivet City. I'm not going to spend too much time on the first attempt, just know that it was absolute hell. I wasn't able to get a good idea of where I was, only that I needed to head roughly southeast, which I did, and after running that way for about an hour, I ended up in a situation where I was out of healing items and kept getting killed by raiders and town company, so I was forced to load back. For my second attempt, I prepared by having Moira repair my stuff and buying all the healing items she had. Doc Hoff was also outside Megaton, so I killed him and looted everything from his Brahmin, including schematics for the Nuka Grenade, which I'm sure will come in very handy. I also somehow managed to activate the quest that would point me in the direction of Rivet City, which meant this time I actually knew where I was heading, rather than a rough estimate. This time it wasn't so difficult, other than getting stuck in Grey Ditch with the ants for a while, which was terrifying. After about 30 to 40 minutes, I hit a point where I can see the Jefferson Memorial, so I make the decision to mark it on the map now, rather than later. To get there, I have to swim across the water. Thing is, I'm so small that I have to hit the jump button repeatedly while in the water, or else I will drown. Oh, and also, for some reason, that caused this to happen. After that little endeavour, I make it to Rivet City and buy a bunch of stims from Shrapnel before slowly making my way to Dr. Lee to continue the story. At this point, they all run off to the Jefferson Memorial, but I thought that the playthrough would be a bit boring if I only used the rocket launcher, so I travelled back to Megaton and began waiting until Lucky Harris shows up so I can then kill him and get the schematics for the Shishkebab. To locate the parts I need to build the weapon, I know that Pinkerton in the broken part of Rivet City has all the pieces, so I make my way to get them. It turns out to be a waste of time, however, as I'm too slow to make it there without nearly drowning and using all of my healing items in the progress. But no matter, I know one other place that has all the parts I need, so I make my way from Minefield, which I know for a fact is directly northwest of Megaton. On my way there, I do get a nice look at the Bethesda offices. Once I'm at Minefield, I managed to take out Arkansas with a pressure cooker relatively easily, and then it was just a matter of looking for the parts, which wasn't too difficult other than trying to find a motorcycle. I go back to Moira to make the shish kebab and have her repair it and my other equipment, and then fast travel to the memorial. When I arrive, I'm asked to kill all the mutants inside by my dad, Father of the Year. Oh well, it gives me an excuse to try the shish kebab, and it is amazing. It does good damage and DOT damage. The only drawback is, of course, the fact that I need to get up close to use it, and I run about as fast as a tortoise with its legs crippled. All things considered, it doesn't take long to clear out the memorial. The next part is tedious and boring in a normal playthrough, but here? Well, it's just a mile a minute! I drain the intake pipes and then the Enclave arrives. They are more difficult than super mutants, but not by much. All things considered, they still go down in a few swings of my sword. When I get to the rotunda, I just about manage to peek my chin over so I can watch my father die. I manage to talk to him, and yes, I agree, there is a lot going on right now. In the escape tunnels, most of the scientists die, which is fine with me. Some of the Enclave were a pain to deal with, but the ghouls at the end were a cakewalk. When we make our way to the Citadel, I level up and decide I'm just going to start putting everything into melee weapons and strength to make the shish kebab even better. I also got my power armor training while I'm here for good measure. Now I just need to get info on Vault 87 so I can... Wait, Vault 76? As in Fallout 76? Anyway, I fast travel back to Smith's Casey so I can head north from there, Little Lamplight. But as luck would have it, there are outcasts here. In other words, free power armor! I'm lucky enough to get a sneak attack on one and a critical on the other for 2 one-shots. The armor is great for defense, but now I'm even slower than before. That said, it doesn't take that long for me to get the Little Lamplight, which is a relief. Once inside, I finally put the Child of Heart perk to use and convinced Mayor McCready to let me in so I don't have to rescue his dumb friends from the slavers. It took me a while to figure out where I needed to go, but when I did, another weird glitch happened where I disappeared for a second, then I couldn't switch from my first to third person. Then when I tried to move, I would fly around at breakneck speed, fly up the wall, get slammed into other walls, be able to see into my gun, and stop moving forward past a certain point. So I load back, and this time the game works perfectly with no glitches or mishaps at all. I've already proved I can easily handle super mutants at this point, so Murder Pass, and by extension, the majority of Vault 87, aren't difficult, just time consuming. The only thing that worried me was my weapons breaking on me before I was finished. I also had to go release Fox to get the Gek because I had no faith that I'd be able to grab it with the speed that I move, and the lack of Radaway or Radex. I activated the fire alarms, made Sid do a sweet backflip, and then waddled behind Fox like a small child would an older sibling as he mercilessly beat his way through the last of the super mutants for me and got the Gek. You know, I felt kind of bad that it took some of the most professional killers in the wasteland to kidnap an almost defenseless baby. Once at Raven Rock, I leveled up and got my melee weapons to 100, which made the Shishkebab a weapon to be feared. One soldier with the Ripper was brave enough to fight me head on, and, well...
Nice!
Once I got to the President, I had a civilized chat with him and promised to insert the modified FEV virus into the Purifier. And when I was just about to leave, I decided that while I would still do that he wouldn't be here to see it, so I used my maximum baby knowledge to show him he was stuck in a logic loop, and then he blew up. On my way out, I witnessed a turret do something to an Enclave soldier. Escaping was more difficult than I had initially thought, when at the end I was greeted by two soldiers, one with a minigun and one with a missile launcher. The one with the minigun proved to be more annoying as he continued to stunlock me until I died. I only beat them due to sheer luck as one of the security bots managed to disarm the one with the missile launcher before he could do anything, as well as the other one having a Gatling laser this time instead of a minigun for some reason. When I finally got outside, I headed back to Megaton to get Moira to repair my equipment for one last time before the final battle. Back at the Citadel, I had to sit through a long dialogue exchange between the Brotherhood. Alongside the other members, I looked like a goddamn plush toy, or their mascot. All that was left was to follow Liberty Prime to the Jefferson Memorial, and that's exactly all I did. Follow him. I was too slow to be able to keep up and join on the fight, so this was pretty underwhelming. I did manage to get an action shot of me running with a few of my allies though. When we got to the memorial, I wanted to try and blow up a vertebird with nothing but books and clipboards, but Liberty Prime ruined my fun, so I just went inside to deal with the Enclave. I killed a lot of Enclave on my way to Colonel Autumn with my little butter knife. When I got to the Rotunda, I expected a somewhat difficult fight, but I ended up getting a critical hit on Autumn and taking him out instantly. When the time came to activate the Purifier, I offered to go in and sacrifice myself, after inserting the FEV virus of course. But not before noticing from this angle, Lions looked like she had a big mustache. Wait, and perfect. Anyway, I go into the Purifier and go deactivate the code when I notice I'm too short. I can't reach the buttons. That's alright though, I'm sure I can find something to stand on before the Purifier explodes. Oh my. Well, and with that, I guess the answer is yes, you can beat Fallout 3 with only crafted weapons, and as a baby, and without being able to see your Pip-Boy. I'll be honest, when I came up with this idea, I completely forgot about the Rad Roach during your 10th birthday. I thought I'd just be able to not attack anyone in the vault, and then make my way to Megaton and continue from there. If it isn't obvious enough already, I wouldn't really recommend doing this. It is certainly a very different way to play, but the novelty of playing the game as the baby wears off pretty quickly once you realise how slow you'll be for the entirety of the game. With that being said, that's going to be the end of this challenge run video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel, as it really does help me out a lot, and I will let you know when I upload my next challenge run video. My name's Nerbit, and I'll see you all later.